Mank is one of those movies that, despite liking the director and cast, I wasn't thrilled to see back when it came out. The premise didn't interest me that much, and thanks to COVID, I had sat through so many mediocre direct-to-streaming movies, and this went straight to Netflix. Also, while I love Fincher, when he's doing drama, it can turn out boring. I still remember Benjamin Button, but when I actually saw it, I was actually more interested than I thought I would be. In 1940, Orson Welles is given complete freedom by RKO to make any movie he wants and get any writer he wants. He chooses Herman J. Mankiewicz, played by Gary Oldman, who is recovering from a car crash, and he begins writing what would eventually become a little movie called Citizen Kane, which some say is the greatest movie ever made. Now me personally, I don't think you can objectively call one movie the greatest film ever made, as techniques for filmmaking are always evolving. However, I will say when I finally watched Citizen Kane for a film class in college about 10 years ago, I was surprised how much I liked it. Not just for the filmmaking, but actually I got into the story and characters. But we're not here to talk about Citizen Kane, we're here to talk about Mank. This definitely feels like a different kind of movie for Fincher. Even when he's done more dramatic films like The Social Network and Benjamin Button, I can still see his fingerprints on them. But this is an all black and white movie about the making of one of the most famous films of all time, shot and edited more like a film from the 40s. I just didn't understand why he would make it, but then I looked it up. Turns out that his dad wrote it. Years ago, actually. It was supposed to be shot in the 90s, but was put on hold, and his father, Jack, actually passed away back in '03, and a decade and a half later, his son finally brought it to life. It did have some touch-up work by Eric Roth, the guy who wrote Forrest Gump, Munich, Stars Born, and Dune, but for the most part, it's his father's story. That's actually pretty awesome. Even if I hated this movie, I'm glad he was able to get it made. Everything production-wise is top-notch. The acting from everyone is great. Gary Oldman and Amanda Seyfried got Oscar nominations for it.
Ah, nerds.
What is that?
Pops' radio phones. Never ever be out of touch with your empire.
No, what's nerds?
And it won Best Production Design and Cinematography. It really does have the feel of a film from the late 30s, early 40s. Even has those cigarette burns that would make much more sense if you were watching it in a theater and not Netflix, thanks COVID. But it is amazing how much this film feels like it was pulled straight out of the 40s. Like we're watching some long lost film from the days of World War II, it just happens to have modern day actors. The way it's shot is one thing, but also the sound design. It's subtle, but if you listen to the music, it does sound different than other films released today. They even did some clever day for night shooting. Like, the movie may look simple, but there was a lot of work going into it. The story is good, although I do find myself more interested in the technicals than the writing. There are some lulls, but it never gets too slow. There's some good comedy and a few suspenseful moments. For the most part, any problems I have are more personal, not my kind of movie, than anything actually wrong with it. Although there is one problem I have, it's not really with the movie itself, but the casting. Again, all the performances are good, and I don't want to get all feminist on you, but the age gaps feel genuinely misogynist. Gary Oldman was in his early 60s playing a man who was in his early 40s. Okay, I can handle that, but Marion Davies, who in real life was almost a year older than Mank, in this is played by Amanda Seyfried, who is 27 years younger than Oldman. And in real life, Mank's wife Sarah and him were the same age. In this, she's played by Tuppence Middleton, who was in her early 30s. Meaning she's 10 years younger than Sarah was at that time, and 30 years younger than the man playing her husband, who again, was the same age. This stupid trope of matching older men with young women is already annoying and harmful to everyone, but when it's done with real people, it just feels gross. But yeah, Mank, pretty good movie. Most of my problems are just not being my type of film, but even with that, I did find this more interesting than I thought I would, mostly thanks to the acting and filmmaking. I give it a 7 out of 10. It's certainly nice that Fincher brought his father's script to life, and it feels different from his other works. It's worth seeing at least once if you're a film buff. If not, I'd give it a chance. It does have more to keep you interested. Now, I'll be honest, I'm recording this in June 2022, and I don't know if Fincher's next film, The Killer, will be released this year. If it is, expect a video on that tomorrow. If not, then we'll head to Spielberg. But we won't be getting to Bridge of Spies just yet. There's one more of his early TV films that I wasn't able to talk about last time, but now we can. See you tomorrow.